Hi there. So today I'm going to show you how to work on your build project here. For this project, you're going to need some material. You're going to need a good X-Acto knife or utility knife, good sharp pair of scissors perhaps, pencil, some glue, a tape measure or ruler with imperial measurements, inches, feet, that sort of thing, as well as the scale ruler that I've provided to you as well, unless you happen to have your own scale ruler. But there we go. Other things that you're going to need are the material to build it out of. So I'm going to be using some foam core today, which is available at any craft supply store or dollar store, as well as some Bristol board. So if you don't have Bristol board or foam core, you can always use cardboard from like an old box, and maybe a thinner cardboard like from a cereal box. Okay, let's get started. So step one, you need to measure all of these pieces, okay? So using your scale ruler, you're going to line it up and measure away. So I'm just going to give you a quick example of what that would look like. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that this length here is 2 feet, and you want to make sure that you have the proper kind of notation. So I'm going to have the extension lines faintly drawn in off of my corners there, and the dimension lines that bring it right to the edge there. Boom, like that. All right, 2 feet that way. And we know that the scale is 3 inch equals 1 foot, so that's this scale here. It's slightly larger than maybe what you're used to, but it's very easy to discern, that this is a foot from 0 to there. So that's 3 inches, 6 inches, 9 inches, 12 inches. So on this side, from here to here is 1 foot. All right, so I'm skipping over the 4. And from here to here, 2 feet, okay? So I know that that's 2 feet. And so I'm going to go ahead, and you need to measure out each piece, both the length and the width of it as well. To do the width, you would have the extension lines coming off like this, and then the dimension lines can go on either side to make it easier to understand like that. And so that's pointing down in, and you put the thickness of the piece of wood or foam core in this case, in inches right there. All right, so once you've taken the measurements of everything, next you want to start your actual assembly and cutting of things. So let me just get set up here. So for parts A, B, C, and D, that's your stiles, your rails, your toggles, and your diagonal cross pieces, you're going to be using the foam core. So once you've determined the thickness, you're going to then measure that out on here. Now keep in mind, you're not just tracing this, because this is drawn in scale. 3 inches equals 1 foot. So I need to figure out the real world dimensions of this. And again, it's very simple. It's whatever you just measured, but now it's actually in feet and inches. Okay? Now my measurements are going to be slightly different than the assignment that I've given you, so you just can't copy me. All right, but I'm going to determine that my width is, let's say, an inch and a quarter. So you can either use a tape measure to do that, or you might find it easier to do that using a actual ruler. And what I like to do is I like to have it kind of measured out at a couple of points along my sheet, and then I'm going to do one long strip, of which I will then go back and cut down to the various sizes that I need. All right, so since I know I need a consistent thickness, I'm just going to use that consistent thickness all the way across. All right, so now I'm going to cut my pieces out. To do that, you want a sharp edge knife. I highly recommend, if you have a metal knife, or sorry, a metal ruler or something that you can use as a guide, that makes it a lot easier to get nice, clean, straight cuts as you go across like that. And I'm going to cut out this whole piece here. Might have to go back over it several times. The reason why I like using foam core is because it gets a nice, clean, sharp edge as opposed to construction or cardboard, which tends to go a little bit wonky. All right, next I want to measure, or using my measurements for my various pieces, I'm going to cut them out of my foam core. So let's show you what that looks like. So once you have all of the pieces of your frame for your flat done, it's time to move on to the joining supports. So the corner blocks, keystones, straps, those kind of things, as well as your covering material, are all going to be made out of a lighter cardboard, or in this case, I'm using Bristol board. So now that I've already gone and I've done the measurements, let's say, I'm going to now cut them out. Now that you have all of your connecting pieces cut out, it's time to start the assembly. You can use either regular glue or hot glue. And you want to start with the outer frame first. So you're going to take your stiles and connect it to your rails using a corner block piece, like so. There we go. Key thing here is you don't want to go right to the actual corner. You want to make sure that you leave a space, at least the thickness of the foam core that you're working with. Now again, you may be looking at mine saying, hey, yours doesn't look like that. That's because my example piece here has slightly different measurements than what your assignment is. All right, so you're gonna go ahead and start gluing all of your pieces together. Let's see what that looks like. Now you're probably asking yourself, where do you put the toggles? Well, you take the overall height, divide it by 3, and then put them at those points there, so that the middle of the toggle is at that intersection there, okay? So go ahead, measure that out, and that's where the toggles go. Next, you'll want to connect your diagonal braces. That will keep everything nice and square. Okay, so I've got my frame and my flat assembled there. Don't forget to label each piece. And now I'm going to put the covering material on the opposite side. So I'm gonna make sure that I've got my big sheet cut out, and it's going to go over top of this. And here is what the finished product will look like. You've got your framing on one side, your piece that's representing the muslin on the other side. There we go. There we go. Take a couple of pictures of that and upload it to Brightspace, and you're done. Yay.